Everyone. If you could all take your seats, we're about to get started. Welcome to all of you. We're delighted to see all of you here on this beautiful day. And thank you so much for joining us. We're here for a double feature, two back-to-back panels. The first of which is Inclusive Cities, which will be from 2 to 3:15. After that, we will have Providing Health Care, which is from 3:30 to 4:45. In between, just in case you get a little too fidgety, we'll have a brief 15-minute break. There'll be refreshments available during the break in the reception area just outside of the room. Both of the sessions this afternoon are on the record. We will be live streaming them. We very much encourage you to tweet at Chicago Forum, hashtag Global Cities 2015. But just a reminder to please turn off the volume on your cell phone so we don't get any unexpected little chirps and tweets and who know what's. I'll come back at the end of this session at 3:15. But in the meantime, I wanted to welcome George Martine. He's the technical director of Demos Consulting and the co-founder and member of the board of the Brazilian Population Association. He'll be giving our flash talk. He'll be directly followed by the Inclusive Cities session, which will be moderated by Tony Barber, the Europe editor of the Financial Times. So with all of the housekeeping out of the way, welcome to George Martine.
Thank you. Could we get it started, please? I actually have very little time, so I'll just skip the niceties and get right to the point. I'll be dealing with what Secretary Paulson yesterday called the enormous challenge of future growth. My objective is to stress that we need to prepare urgently for this growth, because right now we're only seeing the tip of urban exclusion. And my message is that urban growth concentration is coming, it's good, but it'll have to change the policies if we want to reduce exclusion, and we'll need a positive approach. Because right now, we're sitting at the peak of urban growth in world history. This is the third column now. We're adding on 1.4 million new people every week. That's like a Kansas City or Stockholm every week. And as you can see from the growing orange lines, 90% of that growth will occur in developing regions. And most of that will be in Asia and Africa. We can expect an increase of 2.5 billion more urbanites by mid-century, and already 7 of the 10 largest cities are in developing regions. This proportion will increase, as will increase the global cities in developing regions. So, massive growth is imminent. Will it result in positive and productive inclusion, or will it mean massive slums and poverty? And that depends basically on one thing: whether policymakers dump their current anti-urban stances in favor of proactive measures. If we look at the composition of current cities in developing countries, we note that the largest social group everywhere is made up of poor people. The poor make up from 1/4 to 2/3 of all urbanites. Now, it's interesting that these people are coming to the cities despite the fact that 80% of the developing countries are actually trying to stop them from coming. Such anti-urban policies don't work because people vote with their feet. They come anyways because they're aware of the urban advantages. But these anti-urban stances do make matters worse, and they favor the growth of slums, and that's exclusion. Without support, poor people in urban areas fall through the cracks of the land and housing markets. They're forced to settle on land that is too steep, too distant, or too dangerous. And since they're the largest group in city growth, then this process triggers a series of negative effects in the vicious circle that you can see here, and these ultimately prevent the city from pursuing development. So my point is, we obviously need a new roadmap. Now, where to get it? From the developed countries, that wouldn't work because what is going on is much quicker and much larger. I would suggest we start from the Latin American experience. Latin America, for one thing, has had a much earlier urban transition, so we can identify what has happened, and we can identify also the fact that it has made a lot of mistakes that Africa and Asia are now repeating, and that is what everybody has to be seen. Not everybody is aware of the differences between developing regions. You see, actually, Latin America is was in 1960 at the same stage of urbanization as Africa and Asia are today. So huge differences, and it also means that Africa and Asia are in for a huge urban transformation. They need to learn what went wrong. So what went wrong in the Latin American transition? Policy failures and market glitches in land and housing particularly led to a variety of social and environmental problems. More specifically, anti-urban stances and land speculation has prevented proactive measures to inevitable growth. And what are some of the results of this? Well, you can see them here. There's massive growth of slums. There's gridlock and long journeys to work, which hinder economic growth. There's increased vulnerability to more intensive natural disasters. There have been heavy water shortages, particularly in recent times. And finally, there's many manifestations of social disorganization, drug use, drug traffic, corruption, and violence, and so on and so forth. These are just some of the examples of some of the things that went wrong. Now, can inclusion be promoted? Definitely, but it can't depend on the markets. It depends on political will. We have to accept that urban growth is inevitable. We have to plan for land use and spatial expansion, for basic services, and we have to promote public transport. But private transport is definitely a killer. And we have to aggressively tackle the shelter needs of the poor. In short, inclusive and global cities in the developing world will require better governance, one that goes beyond current needs, and this requires a long-range vision for the future. Because what we see now is just the tip of the urban exclusion. The problems being faced by Latin American countries will be multiplied many times over in Africa and Asia unless we do take this proactive stance. And this needs to be adopted urgently. Thank you.